Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever time of the day it is where you're in the world right now. This video was made at the request of my dear friend Michael, who asked if you can do an omelette that is similar to the one that you would make in a frying pan, but in the oven, that you wouldn't have to flip if you were a beginner and you feared that part of cooking where you flip things. If that intimidates you, let's begin. I'm using 2 eggs in which I'm adding salt and black pepper. You can do as much salt as you like. I usually do about half teaspoon of salt and 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper in omelette, but I would do just 2 eggs. And I'm mixing it all together, which you could do with a whisk. I'm choosing to do the same thing with a fork here. And I might say that I am quite lazy sometimes, and since the fork is too tiring and I happen to have an electric handheld milk frother, I am using a milk frother most of the times to give that bit of air into the omelette. And I'm putting in about 1/4 of a cup of milk to make it more foamy. Milk helps that part of an omelette to make it more fluffy as you think omelettes to be. If you don't want your omelette to be fluffy, if you want it to be thin, you will add less milk than what I did. So about 2 tablespoons would be enough. 2-3 tablespoons for 2 eggs would be enough. And then this is the tricky part. I chose to add vegetables because I like vegetables. But if you don't like vegetables, don't add vegetables. It doesn't really matter. I'm adding peppers here. You could do bell peppers. You could do any vegetable you think that is something that you could add in an omelette, you can do. For example, zucchini is a great option. The important thing is that you cut the vegetables as evenly as possible for it to be able to bake properly in the oven, to cook as evenly as possible. And vegetable slicer helps to chop the pieces evenly, so that's what I'm using here. So it's as simple as it seems. You add the vegetables to the mixture of the eggs, and since I'm making this for my brother who likes turkey, I will add a couple of pieces of smoked turkey and cutting it in rectangular pieces. You can do whatever. You could add cheese at this pot. You could add actual meat like chicken strips cut in slices. You could do whatever. It doesn't really matter what I'm doing here. You do whatever you would normally do to your omelette or you would prefer to have in a restaurant. And I'm mixing it all together. I'm adding the turkey and I'm mixing everything together. And it's important to mix it because you don't want the bits and pieces to be stuck with one another. You will see me fast forward some bits so that you don't get tired while watching it, but it's not difficult. Oh, again, this is a completely optional step. I am adding curry powder and turmeric because I like it, but you could just omit that part. I sometimes add cayenne pepper if I feel like I want to add a kick to it, but you could just omit that part and keep the salt and the pepper, and that's enough. You do you. And I am using a glass Pyrex, oven safe Pyrex. I'm really emphasizing that because I know a lot of people have accidents while putting glass in the oven. It needs to be oven safe. This one I've been using for years. It is oven safe. It's up to 300 Celsius degrees oven safe, so I can easily use it without fearing it will break in the oven. And I'm adding a little bit of oil in the bottom of the pan, spreading it around and putting the mixture on it. What you want to make sure is that you will evenly distribute the mixture so that no bits and pieces are sticking to the upper portion of the omelette. That would just make them cook more in certain areas than others, and you don't want that. You kind of want to, have it be even. So I typically just move it around with my arms back and forth so that it always even, always in the same surface. And I'm baking it to 180 degrees Celsius. I'm gonna put the equivalent in Fahrenheit because I don't know it by heart. And I'm just making sure that it's baked. I typically have it in 180 degrees Celsius for about 15 minutes, and that's enough. You can see how easy it is to take it off the surface of the tray, or whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. I will flip it around, but you don't need to do that. It's already baked. Doesn't matter. I'm flipping it around because I want to add cheese to some bit of it, like a half of it, so that I melt it. I didn't want to have it be more than it needs to be in the oven because cheese melts really quickly. But I didn't want to burn the rest of the omelette. So you see me here adding the cheese, putting it back in the oven, and now that you will see me removing it, I will cut half of the omelette, the part with the cheese because I'm a cheese person, and the rest of it I'm gonna give to someone else. I don't even remember who I gave it to. I'm pairing it typically with whole wheat bread and salad. And sometimes I've used toppings, like I will put, like you see me do here, chia seeds or black sesame seeds. So yeah, if that was all you wanted to know how to bake an omelette, that you can just omit that part, the second part of the video. But since I had some leftover potatoes, I decided to slice them and add pepper and salt to them, along with some cheese, and make it into an omelette. So you're gonna see me do that. I think this is a leftover from a potato puree that I made. I over estimated how many people want to eat the puree, so I had some leftover boiled potatoes. I didn't want to throw them away, so I'm using it to make this really, really yummy omelette. I know that it doesn't sound like it, but if you eat an omelette with potatoes in it and cheese, it really brings up the flavors of the potatoes even more. I used about 2 big potatoes or 3 small potatoes and 3 eggs, I think. But because the cheese was salty, it was a yellow cheese that I used and it was already salty, I did about half a teaspoon of salt, which was the same as I did with the previous omelette, which had only 2 eggs in it. But again, it depends on how salty the cheese you're using is. Again, I put 1/4 of a cup of milk. I'm using fresh milk, but you could do any type of milk that you have in your fridge. And I'm whisking it all together with a hand blender, but you could just use a whisk. It's the same thing. I'm just really, really, really lazy. And here I want to show you a variation of the Pyrex glass tray, which is a non-stick tray that I have. Typically I use for pies or cakes, but I thought, I would give it a try because some people don't like the idea of having glass because it breaks. So this could be an equivalent to glass Pyrex for you. Again, making sure that nothing sticks so that it doesn't burn in the oven. and it's ready. Oh, I love this bit. I personally choose to flip it around and bake the upper surface because I want it to be too crispy. But you could just eat it at this point. It's like, again, 15 minutes in 180 degrees Celsius, and it's done. It doesn't need any more than that. So easy, so quick. Oh, I think you're gonna love this recipe because it is different than the really intense recipes that you see online. It's really quick and it's really, really easy for beginners. I really hope you enjoy this. Thank you for watching. Until next time, bye.